Before I start today with my formal remarks, I would be enormously remiss if I did not pay a well-deserved tribute to America's 41st President, George Herbert Walker Bush. He was, many of you know him, he was an unyielding champion of freedom around the world, first as a fighter pilot in World War II, later as a congressman. He was the ambassador to the United Nations and then an envoy to China. He then had the same job I had as the director of the CIA. I did it for longer than he did. He was then the vice president under Ronald Reagan. I got to know him some myself. He was a wonderful brother, a father, a grandfather, and a proud American. Indeed, America is the only country he loved more than Texas. The first 2 years of the Trump administration demonstrate that President Trump is not undermining these institutions, nor is he abandoning American leadership. Quite the opposite. In the finest traditions of our great democracy, we are rallying the noble nations of the world to build a new liberal order that prevents war and achieves greater prosperity for all. We're supporting institutions that we believe can be improved. This is what President Trump is doing. He is returning the United States to its traditional, central leadership role in the world. He sees the world as it is, not as we wish it to be. He knows that nothing can replace the nation-state as the guarantor of democratic freedoms and national interests. He knows, as George H.W. Bush knew, that a safer world has consistently demanded American courage on the world stage. Critics in places like Iran and China, who really are undermining the international order, are saying that the Trump administration is the reason that the system is breaking down. They claim America is acting unilaterally instead of multilaterally, as if every kind of multilateral action is by definition desirable. Even our European friends sometimes say we're not acting in the world's interest. This is just plain wrong. Our mission is to reassert our sovereignty, reform the liberal international order, and we want our friends to help us and to exert their sovereignty as well. We aspire to make the international order serve our citizens, not to control them. America intends to lead, now and always. But Brexit, if nothing else, was a political wake-up call. Is the EU ensuring that interests of countries and their citizens are placed before those of bureaucrats here in Brussels? These are valid questions. This leads to my next point. Bad actors have exploited our lack of leadership for their own gain. This is the poisoned fruit of American retreat. President Trump is determined to reverse that. We welcomed China into the liberal order, but never policed its behavior. China has routinely exploited loopholes in the World Trade Organization rules, imposed market restrictions, forced technology transfers, and stolen intellectual property. And it knows that world opinion is powerless to stop its Orwellian human rights violations. Russia hasn't embraced Western values of freedom and international cooperation. Rather, it has suppressed opposition voices and invaded the sovereign nations of Georgia and of Ukraine. Moscow has also deployed a military-grade nerve agent on foreign soil, right here in Europe, in violation of the Chemical Weapons Convention, to which it is a party. And as I'll detail later today, Russia has violated the Intermediate-Range Nuclear Forces Treaty for many years. Iran didn't join the community of nations after the nuclear deal was inked. It spread its newfound riches to terrorists and to dictators. Tehran holds multiple American hostages, and Bob Levinson has been missing there for 11 years. Iran has blatantly disregarded UN Security Council resolutions, lied to the International Atomic Energy Agency inspectors about its nuclear program, and evaded UN sanctions. Just this past week, Iran test-fired a ballistic missile in violation of UN Security Council Resolution 2231. Earlier this year, Tehran used the U.S.-Iran Treaty of Amity to bring baseless claims against the United States before the International Court of Justice. Most all of this malign activity during the JCPOA. And I can't forget, standing here, one of the most important international institutions of them all, which will continue to thrive with American leadership. My very first trip, within hours of having been sworn in as a Secretary of State, I traveled here to visit with our NATO allies. I'll repeat this morning what I said then. This is an indispensable institution. President Trump wants everyone to pay their fair share so we can deter our enemies and defend the people of our countries.